Testing, testing. Has to be on mic for the live feed, not for you guys. No, in fact, go that way more, because no one's going to come in. Yeah, I don't. No. We want it on the backs. Come here, get close. We want it on the backs of your heads. We don't want the camera on me. Block me. I'm like, what? Okay, so hi. So, so my name's Gina. I'm with Mindful Junkie, and I teach mindfulness in communities to kids, to teachers, to adults, to one-on-one. I do all sorts of, we've done it together. I'm a graduate student right now getting my master's degree in mindfulness, which is a new evolving thing, right? At Lesley University, Cambridge, Massachusetts, they have a master's degree in mindfulness studies. So I'm writing my thesis right now. I'm all done. I'm on the very end, and I'm writing my thesis on bringing mindfulness to law enforcement. So that's where I'm at, and I've been doing this a little bit of time, and I really enjoy it. I'm curious, are you guys, who here meditates? Okay. No, I mean, no judgment, right? Like, just curious. And so does anybody know what mindfulness is? Like, you hear the word mindfulness. Tell me what you know so far. Yeah. Yep. And the only thing I would add to that is non-judgmentally. So when we're doing it, we're not judging ourselves. Right. There's a lot of ideas right now going on about what mindfulness is, and also what meditation is. And mindfulness is a specific way of meditating, so there are instructions on how to be mindful, and we'll go over it, but very specific instructions on how to meditate for mindfulness. I think a lot of people have a misconception on what mindfulness is and sometimes what meditation is, and they think that to be mindful and to do mindful meditation, you're sitting there with your eyes closed, having a complete blank mind. Is that something you've thought? No, you don't have to. Some people think that way. Yeah. So mindfulness, the instructions for mindfulness are a little different. They tell you to notice what's happening. So when you're meditating and when you're breathing, you're focused. You have a focused attention. The focused attention is on your breath. And the instructions are to just keep coming back to the breath. So when the mind wanders, which it does all the time and will continue to wander all the time, you notice it. And in fact, it's that moment that you notice, that's the mindful moment. So it's almost as if you want your mind to wander while you're meditating mindfully, because it gives you a moment to go, oh, my mind wandered. Come back to my breath. You gently guide your breathing in, breathing out, and the thought goes away. And then when the next thought comes, you go, oh, there's another thought. And what you begin to learn through meditation is you begin to learn how to notice what your thoughts are. So you start identifying, hi. Whatever you want. I'm fine here.
I think it's great.
Great. All right, we're here. Yeah, exactly. We want the distractions. You want to interrupt again, Michelle? Come on back. So, distraction, right? It happens all the time. There's chaos all the time that happens in our life. Mindfulness tells you there's like a stimulus and a reaction. And the stimulus is an interruption, right? It's a thought while you're breathing. It's anything. It could be chaos. It could be stress. It could be anger. It could be the metro. It could be not getting to your yoga class in time. The chaos, the stimulus is always here, no matter what. It could be a memory, right? Yes. Triggered by a smell even, right? So this is always here. And typically what happens is we have a reaction to it. And our reaction is based on our rearing, based on how we've performed throughout our life. And our reaction is typically a habit. And we don't think about it. We just react, right? You see someone that you don't like and you tense up, right? You go to get on the metro, you're already assuming it's going to be late and you're annoyed. All these things, stimulus, reaction. Well, what mindfulness says is there's this space in between. And in this space is a pause, is a breath, And in this space, you get to name what the stimulus is. So you say, oh, okay, this is stress. Are you coming in? Come, have a seat. So you start noticing what the stimulus is, and you start naming it. So while you're meditating, you notice your mind wanders, and maybe it wanders to a memory, an uncomfortable memory, and you go, oh, that's pain. And the second you're able to name it as pain, you've created space in between the stimulus and your reaction. And that space allows you to respond rather than react. And that's what you want to move to. You want to move to a place where you're noticing the stimulus, you're pausing to identify it, you're taking a breath, and you're responding. And it happens over practice. You have to practice through meditation. You're constantly bringing your awareness back to your breath, noticing that your mind has wandered. And one of the goals, there are many goals, one of the goals is to change your relationship with stimulus. Because the stimulus is always here, right? Financial stress, it's going to be there, right? Health, everything. We could name so many things that could sit in this bucket. And this bucket's not going away. So you have to deal with it. And so a better way to deal with it, rather than pulling from all your bad habits, is to take a breath and go, oh wow, that's sadness. And just knowing that it's sadness and naming it changes how the other end, it changes your response. It's not going to make you happy. You're not going to be like, oh, that's sadness, now I'm happy. That's probably, maybe that'd be great. We could try it. But most likely, it's just going to change your relationship with it. So instead of identifying with it and becoming your sadness, you look at it and you go, that's sadness. All right, I'm sad. Take a breath and do something else, right? And then you move on. And another stimulus comes up. Anger. All right. Yep, that's anger. All right, that's what anger feels like. And we train our mind through meditation. We all do things to de-stress our lives, right? Like yoga, prime example. Does anybody do yoga to relax themselves? Right. We're here. This is yoga. That's a great way to de-stress your life. Some people like to drink, right? Oh, great way to de-stress. Some people like to go hit a boxing bag. Some people like to scream. There are all sorts of ways to de-stress. But mindfulness is a way of teaching your brain. It's an actual process that happens in your brain through neuroplasticity to change your relationship with the chaos. And the only way to do it is by practicing. And you have to practice. You have to have moments of awareness. And even if they're small moments of awareness, that's fine. Like you can have 10 moments of awareness all day long. That training is happening. But the best way to do it is to meditate. So I asked everyone before if they'd meditated, but have you meditated, or are you just out of curiosity? Great. Okay. Yeah, and it was hard, right? It's hard. So I'm going to explain the instructions of mindfulness meditation, which is a little different than some other meditations. Not much, but the common thought is that you're trying to rid your brain of all thoughts. And mindfulness tells you want to notice that you have thoughts. They're moments of awareness, increase your ability to identify what you're feeling, and then come over here into this category and respond to things. So let's start by just sitting here for a moment and placing our feet on the ground. And this is one of those things where with mindfulness meditation, at the end, you feel really good, but that's like a byproduct. It's great, right? You feel great after meditating, but the real training is happening while you're meditating. And that's when all the magic is. So let's just start by patting our legs. So let's get our energy going through our leg. Yeah, both hands up and down, one leg at a time. Let's go to the other leg. It's like a mini massage for yourself, right? It feels good. There were massagers last night. Did anyone hop on that? No. Oh, of course. Popular. Take your arm. Go ahead and do your arm. Well, now you're massaging yourself, and you didn't have to wait. Let's do your other arm. And now let's just sit for a second. Sit sitting tall with your feet on the ground, place your hands on your legs and sit a little bit away from the back of your chair. If you're comfortable, you can let your eyes close. If not, you can have a soft gaze in the center. But start sensing or noticing just what occurred from patting our bodies. So maybe you feel tingling. Maybe you feel a vibration. Maybe you don't feel anything. Just notice it. And now let's bring our attention, our sense, to our breath. So start by taking 3 really big breaths. So inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. One more time. Inhale and exhale. Sitting tall. Taking a moment to notice that you're sitting on a chair. Notice that your feet are on the ground. Your hands are on your knees. Sitting tall. Let's just listen for a second. Listen to all the chatter and the noise. And start framing it as noise. And then come back to breathing, gently guiding your awareness back to your breath. Breathing in. Oh, thank you, sweetheart. Let a little guy come off in the water. So, notice the distraction. And come back to our breath. Just notice what happened during that little interaction. Did you get tense? Were you worried? Did you get nervous? Just notice that. Or just feeling. And on the exhale, see if you could soften your body. So exhale, just kind of melt down. Breathing in, breathing out. Sometimes our minds can't stop wandering. It just goes. Don't worry, just notice it. Thinking. And when you can, gently come back to breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Let's start at the top of our heads, at our foreheads. See if you notice any tension in your forehead. And on the exhale, see if you can smooth out your forehead. Inhale. Exhale, soften. Moving down to your eyebrows. Gently softening them on your face. Moving to your eyes. Maybe locate the corners of your eyes. Tilt them up to a teeny little smile. On the exhale, soften your cheeks. Just reminding yourself, breathe in, breathe out. Moving to our mouth, let your lips open slightly. Let your jaw, the back of your jaw, unhinge. And sense if you were clenching your jaw. Clenching. Let it soften on the exhale. Softening your tongue inside your mouth. We hold so much tension in our tongue. Just let it rest at the bottom of your mouth. back into your throat. Breathing in, breathing out. Moving down to your neck, softening your neck and your shoulders. Noticing your hands. See if you could sense how they're touching your thighs. Does it feel soft? Does it feel warm? Warm. Warm. Feel the back of your legs as they're touching the chair. Moving down to your feet. Maybe you feel your socks or your shoes. It's hard, soft. Just name it. Come back to the breath. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. Become curious about your breath. Where do you feel it? Do you feel it in your stomach, your chest, in your nose, your neck? See if you can find where your breath is. Taking your breath to your belly. On your inhale, you're going to feel your breath rise from your belly to your ribs, to your chest, to your throat, to the top of your head. And then you exhale to the top of your head, to your throat, to your chest, your ribs, your stomach. Again, following your breath, inhale from your stomach, your ribs, your chest, your throat, your head. Hold your breath at the top. And then exhaling down from your head to your throat, to your chest, to your ribs, to your stomach. Following that pattern a couple times on your own. Gently guiding your awareness to your breath, non-judgmentally, noticing your thoughts, but coming back to your breath. See if you can sense any tension in any part of your body, maybe your hips or your feet. Wherever you find your tension, inhale, and on the exhale, just soften wherever that tension was, melting down. Again, inhale, finding that tension, exhaling, letting go and softening. One more time, inhale, exhale, let go. Imagining you can bring your entire body into your awareness from your feet to your calves, to your knees, to your hands, to your thighs, to your hips, your stomach, your waist, your ribs, your elbows, your shoulders, your neck, your face. Sensing your whole body as one. And as you inhale, feel your entire body expand. And as you exhale, feel your entire body soften. Inhaling again with the expansion. Exhaling to soften and let go. Noticing what you notice, feeling what you feel, taking a breath, reminding yourself just this breath. And just this breath. And just this breath. As you sit here, I'm going to read to you a poem. Poem about habits. It's called An Autobiography in 5 Short Chapters. Chapter 1, I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am hopeless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe it. I'm in the same place. But it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it there. I still fall in. It's a habit. But my eyes are open. I know where I am. It's my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5. I walk down another street. Quite fortunate. Coming back to our breath. Being aware of the thoughts as they come and go. Imagining them as almost a movie reel in the back of your mind going. The thoughts come and they stay for a minute and they pass. Maybe you see them. Maybe you resonate. But just notice that they disappear. And you can come back to your breath. Breathing in. Breathing out. Softening our foreheads again. Softening our brow line. Softening your eyes, your cheeks, your mouth. Softening your shoulders, your chest. Breathing. Sometimes it's helpful to count. Sometimes our mind is so distracted. You need a little help reminding yourself. So you can count. Breathing in, 2, 3. Exhale, 2, 3. Inhale, 2, 3. Exhale, 2, 3. body expands. Breathing out as it relaxes. Imagining, instead of you breathing, imagine you're being breathed. The whole body in your awareness, it's fluid, smooth. I'm going to ring a bell, and when you hear it, I want you to listen to the entire sound of the bell from beginning to end. I'm going to ring it 3 times. And notice it as sound. And after the 3rd chime, when you no longer hear it, listen for the silence of the bell. Take a couple breaths and let your eyes open. Wiggle your toes and your fingers. Let your eyes open. Take in everything around you. Reintroduce yourself to the chaos. How does everyone feel? Yeah. Wouldn't it be great when you want to fall asleep at night to be able to do this and have it actually happen? I know, right? Like, thank you. Thank you. You guys feel rested? Did anyone have a wandering mind? Right? Like every 3 seconds? Did you notice any recurring themes? Interesting, yeah. Yeah. Right. Right. I mean, mindfulness isn't just about noticing the drama, right? Like everybody, when you talk about it, a lot of people are like, "Oh yeah, it's for stress, it's for this." But how about the times when we're happy? It's really important to notice when we're happy, because we only have right now. We never get this again. And so, if you don't take a moment to notice what's happening right now, and notice your happiness, it just goes away. Like you're in the next moment, and you're in the next moment, and you're just going and going and going. And that's what Junkie has a great way of explaining, have it in, of talking about how if you're not present, you turn around, and in the blink of an eye, your whole life has like passed, and you have no memory of it. It's just like those memories are gone, and you're still here. And he's like, hurry up and like get to wherever you need to be, get there so you can start enjoying life. Like be done with it, get there and come back to enjoying this moment. Because we never get this moment again. This is here right now. This is it. So we might as well be present. We might as well be aware and be there for others. Did anyone have anything strange come up while they were thinking? Like wondering? Oh God. That would, yeah, like you couldn't find it, or you were worried if you had a ticket, or that's stressful. Yeah. And then what'd you do? Yeah. Right, like if it's gone, it's gone. I mean, you might as well just start calling the tow truck. Like, can't stress out about it. So in Buddhism, there's this concept, you might know it, called the second arrow. And it's this concept that, right, so you get shot by an arrow and you're like, oh, that hurt. God, that sucks. I got shot by an arrow. And then all of a sudden the second arrow comes and hits you again. Okay? When we identify with things and get stressed out, that's the second arrow. Because if your car's gone, it's gone already. Like, that's the first arrow. The second arrow is, oh my God, my car's gone, and freaking out about it. And the second arrow is what caused all the pain, causes the drama, it causes all those sensations. That's the second arrow. I think about it as like throwing salt on the wound. I think maybe more that, like, I don't know, that's more of our way we do it as Westerners. But yeah, so like it, whatever's happening is happening. So you can either freak out about it and clench up, or take a breath. It's still there. The stimulus is still there, or not there. As maybe is the case with your car. This is still there, but your goal is to change your relationship, and you do that through meditation. And it's one of these things where you have to do it. You have to practice. It's not the information is great to have, but it's the practice. You were? You're like, change streets. Yeah. I read that to someone the other day during a meditation group I was having, and at the end she said to me, and she goes, I can't believe I never even considered another street. She's like, chapter 5 came, and I was like, oh yeah, jump. Like, she was coming up with all these things that she could do. She's like, I didn't even think about another street. But isn't that an amazing? I love this poem. It's so, it really explains what we do all the time. We blame others. We don't understand why it keeps happening. But what you have to do is to be able to identify with or not identify, but notice what's going on. To notice, oh yeah, there's a hole and there's a whole other block over there. Yeah. Right, exactly. Yes. Pardon me? Portia Nelson, I think it is. Yeah, Portia Nelson. Yep. Yeah. Pardon me? Yeah. How funny. You want to read it when we're done? So you can know what we're talking about. There's a street and a hole and something happens and there's some blaming and but no, yeah, you can read it. You can read it. I had that same thing specifically with the noise. I was like, wow, it's really loud, and then I forgot about it. I'm like, oh wow, it's really loud, but yeah. And it does, it bounces back and forth. And that's like every day for us, right? Every moment. Yes, yeah. Right. It's what you focus on. Yeah, and if you learn to focus on your breath and bring it back, right, then you don't get distracted by the noise. Because I got distracted by the noise. I was like, do they hate that there's so much noise? Maybe we should have changed rooms. And then I was like, oh, just breathe. Just breathe. And I did that to my breath. All right, well, thank you guys so much for having this wonderful time. I really appreciate it. I do. Yes, I'll give you my card. Okay, yeah, yep. I have. I've done training with Mindful Schools. I've done training with Junkie. I've done training with, I've met you before. You're next door. Yeah, and I think